Hi there. In my last video, I showed how I used this fancy jig to put my faceplate in and use it as a circle cutting jig, and it worked really well. However, I got a comment from David. He was concerned about the fact that out here it's not supported, and that's true. Although this was such a small amount sticking past the bandsaw blade, I didn't worry about it. However, if you're going to do this and have a large piece sticking out on the other side, take another board of the same thickness and put it on the other side of the bandsaw blade close to it, and then you'll have it supported over there. So thank you, David, for that. That was a real good tip. Now, for today's video, I'm going to put this on the lathe and then use a 3 3/4 inch Forstner bit to make a flat spot here for my chuck to mount into, and then use the appropriate bit for my woodworm screw. So I can reverse this and then start to shape the bowl, this being the bottom. Now, I want to make a natural edge bowl out of this, but as you can see, there's a large chunk of bark missing here. So I'm not sure exactly what this is going to end up being like. There's also a very large crack here, some more checking and cracking on this side. Only one way to find out. Let's go over to the lathe and see what happens. I had this at 500 RPM, and when it was spinning, the whole lathe stand was trying to walk across the shop. I increased the speed up to 850 RPM, and while it's still not smooth, it is improved. So I'll be turning this at 850 RPM, and I'm going to start with my 3/4 inch bowl gouge. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use a tenon or a recess. So I'll do some shaping on here and then decide that. Pretty serious cracking here. I really hate this thing to come apart on me. See what kind of shaping I can do before I fill something. Now I've got these screw holes in here, so I have to take this down some. Man, those shavings are coming off of there hot. Yeah, still got evidence of the screw holes a little bit. Very coarse, a little punky. Just about to the end of these screw holes, I think. This area has been so punky, so coarse, so prone to tear out that I've soaked the whole thing with CA glue. Now, one of the problems with that, of course, is that it can stain the wood quite badly, but I'm hoping if I take off a little bit of this to get to some smooth wood, it'll get rid of that stain. Only one way to find out. And it might just work. Let's see what it does when we get there. Well, it has improved a lot. It's still pretty coarse in there, but I believe some sanding should take care of that. There's a lot of character in that. I almost hate to fill that. I am thinking about leaving this as it is. So I just want to try to dig out some of these loose pieces in here. Trim off some of this jagged stuff. I think I'll be able to really determine it when I'm turning from the top. Can't quite tell how deep this goes. So I'll continue trying to clean some of this out. Then I'm going to go back to the bottom and I'm going to put a recess in. Try to clean this up. I'm going to go with the recess, 2 1/4 inch. So I've set this compass to 1 1/8. I'll use that on the center and then draw the circle. Now I just need to clean that out for the recess. All right, should fit in there nicely. I'm going to be sanding the outside using my 5-inch random orbit sander. I'll be turning this in reverse at 500 RPM so the dust goes away from me into my dust extractor. It's right there. I'll just get my air mask on to keep the dust out of my lungs, and I'll be right back. Some of these areas up here, I'm not going to be able to do with it turning because there's so much air here. So I'm going to be just locking the spindle and doing it in this area with it locked solid. This area down here is turning out very nicely, so I'm hoping to be able to blend this in. I won't bore you with watching this. I'll bring you back. I'm going to go from 80 grit that I'm using now up to 320. Alright, I'm real happy with this surface. Sanded up to 320 grit, feels great. Now I'm going to sand this area. In here I could probably start with 180 grit. It's beautiful. But up here it's very rough. In here it's very rough, so I'll be starting with 80 grit using my usual technique of just a strip of sandpaper with this running in reverse. Dust collectors right here to take the dust away. And I'll be back after I finish the sanding. Alright, got it sanded to 320, feels real nice. Got the species and the date put in, my autograph if you like, and my logo coin is in. So now I'm going to finish this with Howard Feed and Wax. Alright, Howard Feed and Wax, I'm just going to put some on this paper towel. Got lots there. I just want it to soak in here for a while. And then, as the instructions say on the bottle, wipe off the excess and buff it. So I'll be leaving this for probably overnight because I have other things to do. I'll be back in the morning. Well, I think this is just gorgeous. I really like this part right up here, this crack. I realize others may disagree, but it's one of those beauty is in the eye of the beholder things, and I think that's beautiful. So now it's time to take this off of here and reverse it into the chuck jaws so I can figure out what I'm going to do on the top of this bowl. Have you ever tried to remove bark from a tree that didn't want to come off? I've had lots of times where I wished I could get the bark to stay on the log. But this one this came off, I don't know how or when. And I took the other side of this same log and tried to take the bark off to see if I could glue it in here and disguise this. And there is no way it's coming off of there. So I'm going to leave this as it is for now, because I'm pretty sure this bark's not going to come off either. And just see what I can do. I'm going to try to use this skew chisel to cut this bark, because I'm pretty sure if I go in here with a bowl gouge, it's just going to shatter all this, and I quite like it right there. So I'm going to come in here, and I probably have to take about a 1/2 inch gouge in here to even get it to meet, but see what I can do here. Alright, I have a feeling this is going to take a while. Well, I'm just about there. Let's see what the skew chisel will do now. Yeah, it's not too bad. I want to come out a little further yet. That's not too bad. I'm quite pleased with that, actually. So I'm just going to see about sanding this whole thing. I have my dust hood back here, and I'm going to start sanding in here with this little 2-inch pad. Some of it I'll be able to do while it's running, and some of it I'll have to stop and go in here. Now, this is going to be running in reverse. My dust hood is just over here. Let's get this going. All right, I've sanded this up to 320 grit, And I think I'm going to call it a day at that. It's as smooth as I am going to get it. There's a very little bit of tear out I just simply could not sand out. But I'm hoping when I put the Howard feed and wax in there, it's not going to make that stand out. Now to do around here, I'm just going to go with my sanding blocks from 80 grit up to, again, 320, maybe 400, and see how this is going to turn out. And I'll bring you back when I have finished this. Alright, I have sanded this to 400 grit. Feels pretty good. I'm not crazy about the look of it right now, but maybe the Howard feed and wax will fix that up a bit. Right after I finished sanding that, I happened to notice this piece of bark sitting beside the bedways. And after examining it, I found that it goes right there. So now I'm going to try to glue that back in with some medium CA glue. Of course, if I tried thin CA, it would run everywhere. And because my fat fingers are always in the way of the camera doing this, I'll be right back after I get this glued in. Alright, CA glue is holding well. I can't ask much more than that. So now what I'm going to do is take a brass brush and just gently brush the bark. I don't want to alter it in any way, especially in this area right here. I'll get that brushed off, blow it off with compressed air, and then I'll be back to take care of the sanding sealer. Okay, it's all cleaned up. Now I have a small container with some sanding sealer. In my case, that's Zinsser Seal Coat and ethanol, 50-50 mixture. I'll get into all these areas, do all of the bark and the wood, and then I'll be back. Just going to use this soft cloth with some Howard feed and wax on it. I'll apply it and then wipe off the excess. I'm trying to keep it off of the bark because wiping the excess off could be kind of tricky. Never mind trying to buff it a little bit. So I'll finish coating this. I'll be back to show you the finished product. My next door neighbors have some construction work going outside my shop wall, so I guess I'll do a voiceover so you can hear me. This piece is as heavy as it looks. I wanted to preserve all of that bark, so it's got very thick walls. And because of all the cracks, I think I will call this one all it's cracked up to be. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please click the like button. Let me know I'm doing something right. Share it with your friends if you like, and don't forget to subscribe. Between now and next time, have a great day in your shop and be safe. Take care now.